The report adds that would comfortably make Mbappé Liverpool's highest earner, with the French superstar potentially pocketing a cool weekly wage of about £580,000. I don't know what to believe anymore. This video is sponsored by Surfshark, the best VPN on the market. Surfshark is an app or browser extension that allows you to change your location to access websites in other countries and keep you safe and secure from hackers. Using Surfshark, we here in Ireland can access other countries' Netflix libraries or other streaming platforms like DAZN in Spain for all those important Premier League games. Surfshark keeps you safe and private by protecting everything you do online. Everything. When your device connects to the internet, all that information is, in a way, blurred out. Surfshark is particularly useful for keeping you safe from being hacked if you use public Wi-Fi. Let's say you're in a cafe, you're at college, you're out and about, they've got you covered. Surfshark allows you to use one subscription on unlimited devices, meaning you can share your account with friends or family or that neighbour who's a little bit cheap. On top of all of this, Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee. You can also upgrade to Surfshark One, which includes the VPN, an alert system for breaches related to your data, such as emails and credit cards, and an antivirus software for your desktop. Our sign-up offer gives you Surfshark VPN for a little over €2 a month, and you'll get an additional 3 months free. Simply scan the QR code on screen right now or use the link in the description and enter the code Anfield Agenda at checkout. There's been lots of talk today about offers that are on the table for Mbappé from different parts of the world and from different clubs. So a report came out to say that the offer from Real Madrid is slightly less than the offer on the table from Paris Saint-Germain for him to stay there. And we know that the rumoured number from PSG is about £100 million a year. That's going to come down to whether Mbappé wants to just take money or whether he wants to have legacy. Because if he wants to have legacy, let's be quite honest about this, he needs to leave PSG. So if he closes off that part, then it comes down to two things. Do Real Madrid have an attractive enough proposition that they can entice Mbappé to go there? Well, there is talk that Liverpool and Madrid, both clubs, are willing to pay a pretty hefty signing on fee, which of course you would expect. Then there's talk of a salary of, and this has been written today, about 550 grand basic a week. Now, we had a good discussion on this earlier on without going into the details of what it could take. But let's explore the possibility of him coming to Liverpool for a moment. And then we'll work backwards and talk about Real Madrid and all that stuff. So, how is it possible for him to come to Liverpool Football Club? Well, as always with a big transfer, a couple of certain things will have to fall into line. And the first one is obviously the signing on bonus. It will be a very significant amount of money. Could we afford it? I believe the answer to that is yes. Look at it this way. If you're buying Mbappé, think of it that way. You'd basically be buying him without buying him. So you'd have to pay a certain amount of money for the signing on fee. Probably somewhere like 70 or 80 million quid. Then you've got the wages. And the wages is where we'd have to get a little bit creative. And this is what we were talking about earlier on. So look at the situation with LeBron James and his relationship with FSG and how that's evolved over the years as he's come closer to the end of his playing days. So FSG gave LeBron James a little taste of Liverpool, and then they gave him a little taste of their overall business. Now, imagine for 1 second that Liverpool want to sign Mbappé. What's to say that they don't do something similar? Because remember, they're going to want to set up an NBA franchise. They're looking at maybe the one that's going to come up in Vegas, and they're hoping that LeBron James and themselves will become part of an ownership group of that. So why isn't there an avenue there to tempt Kylian Mbappé with the same thing? Players have to look towards the end of their careers, and Mbappé is still a very young man in football in terms, but they'll always look to the future. And we might not be able to give Kylian Mbappé a truckload of cash right now like PSG can. But who's to say that this isn't where FSG's portfolio plays into our benefit? So they have these relationships with Nike. They have these relationships obviously in other sports now, in golf and most likely going to be NBA and certainly in the NHL. So maybe Mbappe forms part of a future ownership group of one of these things with a small percentage. Maybe that's some of the trade-off. Maybe Nike become involved. And I know I've said this numerous times, but if I'm a Nike executive and I see Kylian Mbappe currently playing in PSG, and I'm thinking, all right, he's at PSG, that's cool, he's in the Nike family. There's no part of me that's going to want him to pull on an Adidas shirt every week. Now, look, these things happen, of course. There's many players who have contracts with one brand and wear jerseys of another brand. But when you get to the very elite few, you don't want to see it. If you're paying out a truckload of money to a sports person to be an ambassador for your brand, you don't want to see them wearing another brand. And whatever way you dress it up, Real Madrid are an Adidas club, and he would be pulling on an Adidas shirt every week after spending a lot of time in a Nike shirt. So I can't help but feel that Nike would prefer him to stay in the Nike family of clubs. And that's, of course, where we come in. So there are many avenues that we could look to tempt Kylian Mbappe with. And whilst we will say we can't compete with PSG because they're not operating as a business in my eyes. They're operating as a brand that's owned by a country that doesn't care if they lose some money. But we can offer them the legacy. We can offer them what Madrid can offer them. And Madrid can offer them a Champions League. We could probably offer them as close to that. Madrid can say, come to Madrid, you'll have a great chance to win a Ballon d'Or. I think Liverpool could make the same argument, albeit probably at a slightly lesser level. Because Real Madrid it's where people win Ballon d'Ors. But Liverpool have done that occasionally as well. So I think it depends how much John W. Henry wants it, if he wants it. Because I get it. It's unrealistic. It's un-Liverpool-like. All the things that people say, I understand it and I appreciate it. But I can't tell you why John W. Henry has had this desire for Mbappe since he was at Monaco. And whatever way we talk about it, you have to say, why would somebody try to convince him 5-6 years ago? Why would he continue to have conversations and keep a dialogue with Mbappe and his family unless you are waiting for this opportunity? And this is the only time it's going to be potentially possible for Liverpool to afford Mbappe. Because once he signs on at Real Madrid or elsewhere, that's it. It's back to playing the game of humongous transfer fees, $250 million upwards to sign the kid, and you're never getting them. So I'm not saying it's going to happen. All I'm saying is, if it happens, it's going to be now. It's going to be before his contract is up with PSG. So now we just got to wait and see what happens. Is he going to go and do what we all think he's going to do, which is go to Real Madrid? Absolutely possible. But we also have to ask, financially, can Madrid just keep doing this stuff? Do they have the funds to do it? Do they have the wiggle room to do it? And that I don't know the answer to, because I don't know Madrid's finances well enough. But I can tell you one thing, we can afford it. After that, it's just a matter of what the owner wants to do, what John W. Henry and FSG want to do. And of course Jurgen, because there could be a part of this where Jurgen just doesn't want them. But you probably think what I think. Why is it that none of the Liverpool beat journalists have instantly poured cold water on it? I haven't seen it, And that makes you think either they don't want to address it because it's so ludicrous, or that they think like we think, that maybe, just maybe, it is something that John W. Henry has looked to do. Because if Mbappe joined Liverpool, overnight, Liverpool stepped forward another level in the eyes of world football as a brand, as an attractive proposition for fan bases. Because whatever way we think about it, there are fans of players these days. There are Mbappe fans, Salah fans, Ronaldo fans, Messi fans, Neymar fans. And that will open up a whole new world to Liverpool. It will open up a whole new marketplace for Liverpool. And it will help Liverpool go forward in a technological age where social media plays a big part in influencing a club's brand around the world. So that's where we're at. And if nothing else, you got to say it's good to see our name in this conversation alongside Real Madrid, because you're not seeing Manchester City or Manchester United having this conversation at the minute. It's us or Madrid. That seems to be where he's at. And I don't know about you guys, but I very much like that. If we continue on this path or better, I think it only makes us even more attractive with the 2.0 build to Mbappe. Let's say we win 3 trophies, including the big one. I would like to think we're pretty... Do you know what? I'm going to be really honest. There's a big part of me that hopes we get Mbappe just to shut those Madrid fans up. There's few fan bases in the world I've seen that are so entitled as those Madrid fans. And so spoiled. And so petulant. And so ungrateful. Like, they are just entitled. And I hate it. It's just, they're everything I don't like about a club. Yes, they've got history and tradition, but they feel greasy and fake and, I don't know, just odd. There have been reports that PSG have offered Kylian Mbappe a staggering €100 million a year to stay in Paris, with Real Madrid only willing to offer €30 million. But a fresh report from Spanish outlet Le Figaro claims that Liverpool and Madrid are willing to pay a huge signing-on fee alongside a salary worth about €35 million a year. The report adds that would comfortably make Mbappe Liverpool's highest earner, with the French superstar potentially pocketing a cool weekly wage of about £580,000. I don't know what to believe anymore, because I read this today, and then I see another report that comes out later on this evening that says that the difference between the offer Mbappe has from PSG and Real Madrid is kind of negligible. It's not that much money in the difference. I don't know what to believe, because there's so many varying reports about what he wants, what's on offer to him, what extras are involved in it. You know, like for the PSG offer, there's all this conversation about them helping his mum build that agency for players she was speaking about, and a pathway for his brother and other stuff down the line. It bangs of desperation from PSG, in all honesty. Like, they seem to think the only answer is to just throw money at it over and over and over and over and over again, but they can't give him what he wants. They can't give him a Ballon d'Or. They can't give him a Champions League. And they're not going to be able to do that. They've tried and tried and tried and tried. They got close one year, the COVID year, but ultimately they have never ever, despite what their tactics were, building a team of superstars, trying younger, hungrier players, ultimately they end up doing what they've always done, coming up short in Europe and winning some stuff domestically. And he's not going to achieve a Ballon d'Or playing for PSG. I just don't feel it'll ever happen. And I think at this point in his career, that's got to be his goal, to have a Champions League. Imagine he finished his career without lifting the Champions League. That would be a disgust. That would be a disgrace. Same if he finishes his career without a Ballon d'Or. That would be a disgrace. So we can help him, as can Madrid, achieve those goals. Madrid were guilty of receiving illegal government aid, said Jack Howe. So there's been a lot of talk that over the years they have gotten preferential treatment from the Spanish government. But I don't know enough about Real Madrid to know the ins and outs of all of that. From the outside, I've often asked myself the question, how are they able to do this all the time? How are they able to afford all this stuff? How are they able to continue to have superstar after superstar after superstar after superstar? And you thought for a while they were maybe trying to change it up. So they brought in younger players like Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo, and the deal that they got to bring in Bellingham, you can even look at and think, all right, I can see how that's affordable to them. That makes some sense. The transfer fee wasn't ridiculous. It was like 85 million. And then the talk that he's on somewhere between 270 and 400 something grand a week. There's only so much wiggle room all these big clubs will eventually have before it catches up with them. And this is where our owners' miserly ways might actually benefit us. Craig, Madrid have been begging for Mbappe for a couple of years now. I find that odd they're so obsessed with him. It's because they feel entitled to him, I think. Honestly, I think that's what Florentino Perez wants here, is the fact that Mbappe is one of the few people that have ever kind of flirted with him and said no. And remember when he said no to them and stayed with PSG, the absolute outrage and explosion in Madrid. Almost like, well, that was your chance. it was now or never. Now we don't want that to do with you until Mbappe kind of flashes a bit of leg again and they go, well, maybe, but we don't want to go too much into it because we don't want to look foolish again. And that's what all this is for Perez, I think. It's just that his ego needs to be stroked here. Because imagine if Mbappe flirts with them again and then sticks two fingers up and goes elsewhere or stays at PSG. I found it hilarious. Do you remember the whole, is it El Chinguito, whatever that TV show was called, where it was like tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. And every day it was Mbappe's decided this and Mbappe's doing that and Florentino's preparing this. And the fucking arrogance of them. It was beautiful to see it just blow up in their face. Even though I despise PSG, to see Mbappe have Perez and Real Madrid on strings was hilarious.